Welcome to the PharmaVOICE 100 one-on-one video series with Taryn Groen.
Laurie, thank you so much for joining us for this one-on-one conversation for the Celebration Marathon.
Thanks, Taryn, for having me. I'm excited about our conversation.
It's our pleasure to always speak with you. Let's talk about why it's more important than ever for companies to address the issues of gender parity and diversity and inclusion.
It's always an important topic. So why is it more important now is, I think, number one, it's becoming an expectation. Based on the Women in the Workplace study, to date, 87% of companies in the study are highly committed to gender diversity, and that was 56% in 2012. So in the 5 years that they've been doing the survey, that's a pretty big jump. So this is becoming an expectation of what needs to happen. And I think the second is, if you do want to be competitive to attract and retain the best talent, in the age of social media, people can see how you think about this topic, and they can see published metrics, and people have access to that information. We are using our networks to understand how important a company is saying what they believe in, and then how they're measuring it and actually turning it into progress. So it is no longer something we can simply give some speaking points to. We need to see real action. And I think one of the things you're seeing now is companies having diversity and inclusion councils and really saying, we have strategic goals and we're going to hit them. So I think it's time now for companies to understand this is part of doing business.
Excellent. And let's dig in a little bit deeper into that. And what are some of the key things that companies need to do to improve their D&I strategies?
Well, there are a number of things people in companies, and I say people in companies because it is the people that are there. I think there is a fairness that needs to be part of a company's workplace, if you like, their culture. It is shown that employees have a higher level of satisfaction, engagement, and they stay longer when they believe there is fairness. So I do believe one of the things companies need to do is think about whether or not the opportunities are universally available for men, for women, for people of color. So that is a system that is time to be changed. So we want people to be happy in their careers and happy in their workforce. So the diversity efforts that hit fairness for everyone is where a company really should start off with. Once they do that, I think the next is for them to look at the different populations in their organization and see if there are perhaps populations that are not doing as well. So companies are tracking information and now they really need to act on it. So here are the things that I would say to a company to really just do some really practical is set a goal. We know what gets measured gets done. So set a goal. I would encourage them to set that goal for the entry level, women moving into the manager level. It's a pretty great statistic that within 5 years, if all we did was have equal men and women moving up that first ladder, we would move 1 million more women into the population pipeline. I mean, it's a simple thing to do. Why wouldn't that be? Second, I would say is to ensure you have diverse slates for both hiring and promotions. Again, seems pretty simple, but it's not happening. So that needs to be a requirement. The third is when you do have evaluators, whether it's your performance reviews or deciding who to hire, is we do need to have unconscious bias, really understanding what those biases are and refreshers. Before you just go to start into that session is do a refresh or even have someone in the room, and that's their job. And it's a really great way to have professional development for everyone. Fourth, I'd say have very clear evaluation criteria. We all know what we're being evaluated against, and that way we can make sure as easy as we can where we have that fairness coming through. And then last but not least is when you do look at your numbers of women and men moving into manager, look to see where things are not working and really address them. And the whole pipeline opens up after that. So those are 5 relatively straightforward steps that I think a company can do. It's not out of bounds. It's really something we all can do. And I hope that that expectation is something that companies will embrace, lean into, and they will have better company performance if they do.
Laurie, thank you so much for sharing those great insights, and thank you so much for all that the HBA does in this area. So thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It was great talking to you.
For more PharmaVoice 100 content, visit www.pharmavoice100.com.